you're starting out, often your beds will look like this. Often you'll have tiny seedlings that are easy to miss. Direct sowing can be even less inspiring when your seedlings are teensy tiny. Eventually those seedlings do grow, get bigger, and even start to produce. And you end up seeing the vision take form. And while you might not get big harvests, these little garden snacks often provide the inspiring kick you need to keep going. Today we're doing a few little jobs to help us stay prepared for our big harvests. Behind me is our garlic bed. I planted these a few weeks ago and they've all sprouted up really nicely. I've just got to weed and add some more mulch. These garden beds were really dry when I started working on them. We didn't have anything growing throughout the spring and summer period. While they did have the old layer of mulch still on them, because they didn't have anything growing, the soil did get a bit dry. When I put these garlics in, I did a light layer of mulch just so that I could direct water them instead of using the irrigation that we have here. While the irrigation does save on water and it is very handy to have, it works best on soil that's healthy and damp. With these garlic bulbs being planted into soil that was dry, I really wanted to make sure that I got the water directly on where all the bulbs were. So keeping the mulch light helped me to get water in there, and it's helped this whole bed to become a lot more damp, and it made sure that the garlics grew really nicely. However, now that this bed has been watered for a few weeks and the garlic is popping up, I do want to make sure that I put down more mulch so that we can use the irrigation more and the soil stays nice and damp. While the mulch has cut down on a lot of the weeds, there is still a few popping up, especially because we did keep the mulch layer light this time. As you can see, there's just a few little weeds popping up. Won't take long. Okay, so that weeding probably took me all of 30 seconds and it's done and ready for the mulch to go over. If you keep up with your weeding, it doesn't have to be a massive job. Small, regular weeding is a lot easier than having to go out and do a mass overhaul of your gardens. Trust me. I do want to talk about water retention because it is the best thing that you can do for your garden. I am kind of glad that we didn't plant last spring and summer because there was hardly any rain at all. And as far as I'm aware, I don't think we're going to be getting any rain for the next few seasons. So what I've done to prepare in our gardens is I've watered our gardens with some sea salt. Sea salt is a soil conditioner. It's not a fertilizer. A few people do get those two things mixed up. Sea salt does not fertilize your plants, but what it does is it improves the soil condition. That way the soil can get those nutrients and any fertilizing amendments that you've put into the soil. It can get that to the plant's roots much better when the soil is conditioned well. We ended up with a random 1 to 2 mil of rain yesterday, and I want to show you what that sea salt has done with the rain. So here you can see it's pretty bare. It doesn't really have a lot of mulch here, but the soil is in a really good condition. It has been hot and dry here. This uncovered soil should be pretty dry and hard, but with that sea salt and that rain, it's really helped. In a lot of these beds, I only put sea salt around the plants that are planted in them, and I want to show you the difference. Like I said, we had about 1 mil or 2 of rain, and I was just doing some weeding, and in this spot is where the sea salt was. So you can see the soil's damp and nice, and that was under this mulch. And then we've got this area where I didn't put sea salt. It had all of this mulch on it, but you can see the soil is dry and dusty. We've been here almost 3 years now and we haven't used sea salt in these gardens before because we've had pretty good rain seasons. Sea salt and mulch are going to really help you in your garden. You can see how dry this soil looks, but then if we move this mulch here, you can see the difference. The sugarcane mulch does make essentially like a mat over the soil so that the water doesn't evaporate out of the ground as easy. However, it is really important to note that mat does work both ways. What I mean by that is if you put a ton of mulch on the top, you're not going to be able to stand there with a hose and have that water get into the ground easily. I have focused on really light layers of mulch for this garden, just while I've got tiny seedlings in and I've been direct sowing. I'm trying to make sure that I keep the irrigation under the mulch as much as as possible. Once the plants are more established, I think I will be adding some more mulch, just because we are in for a really dry season. With the irrigation under the mulch, it means that that water is going to get directly under there. It's going to spread under that mat of mulch really nicely. While they're only very small, I'm so excited to see these broccolis growing from the seeds that we planted. These were tiny babies just a few weeks ago, and now they've got their own little peas growing on them. Okay, so I've mentioned in my previous videos that I'm gonna leave these things here to rot into the ground and then spring up when they're ready. It seems like though, because we're having a really warm start to our autumn and our winter period here, these guys have decided it's their time now. I've heard that we're going to have a mild winter here, so they might grow well. But what if I grow them and they don't work, and then I'm missing out on something that I could have grown during our actual winter period? We get really excited about growing beans and peas, and they love trellises and they like our winter season. I kind of don't want to waste that space, but then we also do have 22 trellises, so it's not like I'm hard up for space either. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what I should do. Keep it or weed it. I've got a bit more weeding to do, and then I'll show you what we plan to plant out today. Weeding's done. Let's go have a look at what we've got to plant. Okay, so if you saw in my previous videos, you would have seen that this seedling tray was full of broccoli, kale, some other bits and pieces. As I've been taking from these trays, I've actually been filling them up again and putting more seedlings in it. That way it's just easier to water one whole tray rather than having a lot of different trays going at one time. These ones popped up so fast and I'm so excited about them. By the way, that's from me weeding and being a gardener rather than me being a grub. Anyway, these beans popped up really fast and I'm excited about these ones. These are snake beans. Doesn't usually grow in winter, but like I said, we're gonna have a mild winter, so I thought I'd try these ones. They're really fun to grow. They have these massive long, about 30 centimeter beans. They can get longer if you leave them. They do taste best if you do harvest them at 30 centimeters though. So I'm gonna chuck these ones in, see how they grow anyway. As I said, they are a lot of fun to grow. I've also got this one. This is the pink celery that in my last video wasn't looking so good. As you can see, this growth here is fine, and we've got new growth down here, and it's a healthy enough looking plant, so I'm going to plant that one out in the garden today. These are broccolis that I've left in here way too long. I am going to get a bowl of water and try to separate these as best as possible. As you can see down here, I might have been too late. These might not work that well. But I'm going to separate them, see how they go, and these are what's going to be used for our succession planting. Although they are pretty big, they might end up growing at the same rate as the broccoli that I've got in the garden at the moment. These beans haven't popped up as fast as I expected them to, although it has only been a week, so they're doing all right. These are broad beans or fava beans. I'm excited to grow these ones as well. These tiny little kale seedlings are growing a lot slower than I expected, and I'm not quite sure why. Here I've got onion seedlings. I did have them all in that tray. My onion seedlings did not have that high of a germination rate. Not entirely sure what happened there, but I have separated them so that I can have a nice spacing instead of having to come through and pick off other seedlings later, especially since I did have such a low success rate. Something that has worked well though is my elephant leeks, and I'm excited to get them out in the garden. I've got some silver beet back here, which I'm excited about growing. Silver beet's really nice because it's one of those things that you can harvest pretty often and makes you feel like you're getting somewhere in the garden. I've got yellow silver beet here. I've also got magenta, and I've got orange as well. I really enjoy the different colour silver beets growing out in the garden. Okay, so like I said, I was going to be using this aquaponic setup to keep the strawberry runners growing. We've got quite a few strawberry plants in here, as you can see. Some of the ones that we transplanted out into the garden didn't work. Most of them went really well though. I might even take this out and just plant this whole... Ugh, yuck. Ugh. No, I won't be doing that. Ugh, yuck. It's gross. I might just cut this guy off and put him in a pot. Leave him till he's ready to plant it out. Here are all my seedlings that I've got to plant out into the garden. We've got 10 strawberry plants, 8 bean plants, and our pink celery. Let's go. Okay, so we've got lots of strawberries planted out here. Just an update on the strawberries. Since planting them out in the garden, we have had them start to develop actual fruit. Pink celery is in here. We've got our beans along this trellis and in here. Some small but productive jobs done for the morning. Now those are going to grow, and I hope you can grow with us.
I'm going to help our garden grow.
You can help our page grow.